Okay. Hello students. Today I am going to discuss one more important metabolic pathway in carbohydrate metabolism. That is pentose phosphate pathway or hexose monophosphate shunt. In your syllabus it was given as hexose monophosphate shunt. Okay. So we should know what is the starting material in this pentose phosphate pathway or hexose monophosphate shunt. Actually that is glucose 6 phosphate. Okay, so from where we are getting this glucose 6 phosphate? From this glycolysis pathway. So for the glycolysis pathway, actually the glucose is the starting material. From glucose actually it will generate glucose 6 phosphate. So actually it was discussed in the glycolysis pathway that glucose first enter into the cells with the blood transporter, like especially we are talking about this liver cell. So in liver cell the glucose will be converted to glucose 6 phosphate by enzyme called glucokinase, and this hexokinase is present in the muscle. Okay, especially if you talk about liver, the glucokinase will present in the liver and the hexokinase is present in the muscle. Okay, what is kinase? Kinase is an enzyme which will transfer the phosphate group or put the phosphate group to a substrate. Here we are talking about the glucose. So to the glucose, the glucokinase will give the phosphate group and form glucose 6 phosphate. From where we are getting this phosphate, we already discussed in the glycolysis pathway. So from ATP. So ATP will be converted to ADP. Okay, the phosphate will be added. From here the phosphate will be added to the glucose. So we will get the glucose 6 phosphate. This will act as a starting material for pentose phosphate pathway or hexose monophosphate shunt. Okay, so from here actually that glucose this hexose monophosphate shunt or pentose monophosphate pathway will start. So this glucose 6 phosphate will be converted into 6 phosphoglucanolactone. Okay, this is the intermediate which is formed from the first intermediate formed from the starting material, that is glucose 6 phosphate. How it will form? There is an important, very important enzyme, that is glucose 6 phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme. Okay, the deficiency of this enzyme leads to hemolytic anemia. Right, hemolytic anemia. This enzyme will convert this glucose 6 phosphate into 6 phosphoglucanolactone. Right, so we already studied, since it is a dehydrogenase enzyme. So dehydrogenase enzyme means it may convert NADP plus to NADPH or FAD to FADH2 or NADP plus to NADP plus to NADPH. Here in this reaction, this NADP plus will be converted to NADPH. Right. So this dehydrogenase enzyme oxidize this glucose 6 phosphate and itself get reduced. That means this NADP will get reduced. So the NADP is getting the hydrogen, so it is called reduction step. Right, so this is called reduction step. So this will convert into 6 phosphoglucanolactone. So in the next step this 6 phosphoglucanolactone will be converted to 6 phosphogluconate. Okay, this lactone will be broken down, or this lactone will be released by the help of the enzyme, that is lactonase. Okay, this is actually hydrolysis step where this glucose and this glucose and lactone will be separated. This part and this part will be separated by the help of the enzyme lactonase. Okay, this is actually hydrolysis step. So the water will be added here. In the presence of water, this glucone plus lactone will be separated. So we will get 6-phosphogluconate, right? Okay, in the next step, actually what will happen in the next step, this 6-phosphogluconate will be converted to ribulose 5-phosphate. Actually from here up to here, later I will discuss about that. This 6-phosphogluconate will be converted into ribulose 5-phosphate. See here, in all whatever the intermediate we have seen, here, this is glucose 6-phosphate and phosphogluconolactone, and this 6-phosphogluconate, all are 6 carbon. Okay, so this 6-phosphogluconate will be converted to ribulose 5-phosphate with the help of 6-phosphogluconodehydrogenase enzyme. Okay, so this 6-phosphogluconate will be converted to ribulose, which is a 5 carbon structure. Okay, 5 carbons only. So where is another carbon? So whenever in any reaction the product is forming 1 carbon less, like glucose is converting to ribulose, it's a 5 carbon and this is 6 carbon. So 1 carbon less, it means 1 carbon is removing in the form of gas, that is CO2. Understood? CO2, in the form of CO2, it is the carbon is eliminating. So this process is called decarboxylation, right? In the presence of 6-phosphogluconodehydrogenase, this enzyme, 6-phosphogluconate will be converted to ribulose 5-phosphate. Okay, ribulose 5-phosphate. We already know this is a dehydrogenase enzyme. If it is a dehydrogenase enzyme, so NADP or NAD will be converted, or FAD will be converted to respect to FADH2 or NADPH or NADPH, right? So in the previous step also, one NADP is converted to, in this step also one NADP is converted to NADPH. In the same way, in this step also the NADP is converted to NADPH. So total 2 NADPH is formed. So next step, here actually this ribulose 5-phosphate, here very important reaction step. This is very important step. This ribulose 5-phosphate, okay, depending upon the enzymes, if it is isomerase or if it is epimerase. If it is isomerase, so ribulose is a ketone. We already know this is a ketone containing. It is a ketone containing compound. So if it is enzyme, that is ribulose 5-phosphate isomerase enzyme. Okay, so what will be formed? Ribulose is a 5 carbon, so 5 carbon aldehyde will be formed, that is a ribose 5-phosphate. We already know this ribose phosphate will be used for nucleotides, like it is present in it will be used to make DNA, and also it is used to form RNA. So it is a main ingredient to make the nucleotides. Okay, nucleic acids. It is not nucleotides, it's a nucleic acids, right? So if it is epimerase enzyme, we will get a diastereomers. Okay, diastereomers is nothing but in this only one chiral carbon will be different. It is a chemistry part, no need to know everything. So remember, this isomerase will form isomerase enzyme will form isomer, and this epimerase enzyme will form a diastereomer. That you remember. Okay, so isomerase enzyme will form isomerase and epimerase will form diastereomer. Okay, diastereomer, actually it is a compound where one chiral carbon is different. Only one chiral carbon is different. Okay, for example, if you find in a compound like SRR, and if you compare another compound, if it is RRR, so only S first carbon it contains S configuration, second carbon in one more structure the first carbon contains, for example, if it is SRR and this is RRR, So in a structure, all three carbons in one structure, it contains R configuration. In a structure, first carbon contains S configuration and second carbon and third carbon contains R configuration. These two are called diastereomers, diastereoisomers or diastereomers. Okay, so we can call it as diastereoisomers or diastereomers. Okay, so this for ribulose 5-phosphate, this xylose 5-phosphate is a diastereoisomer. Okay, now from here actually, so remember they so little bit basically the little bit thing about this pentose phosphate pathway. There are two phases. One is oxidative phase and one more thing is that non-oxidative phase. Okay, up to this step, up to formation of this isomer and a diastereomer, this is called oxidative phase. Okay, total 4 steps comes under oxidative phase. Okay, remaining these steps are called non-oxidative phase. Non-oxidative phase is also called as carbon shuffling. Okay, this is called carbon shuffling step. Carbon shuffling means carbon shifting. Okay, so from one compound, some carbons will be shifted to the another compound. This type of reaction is called carbon shuffling reactions. Okay, so after oxidative phase, we will see all carbon shuffling reactions. So what are those? So for example, so here with the isomerase enzyme we got ribose 5-phosphate. With the epimerase enzyme we got xylose 5-phosphate. In the next step actually there is one important enzyme that is called transketolase. So transketolase, there is a 2 words, that is trans. Okay, trans means transfer, right? What they are transferring, they transfer ketone contains 2 carbons, so it will transfer 2 carbons. From where it will transfer? For example, if you feel like if you think that ribose contains 5 carbon, it will transfer this among the 5 carbon, it will transfer 2 carbons to xylose phosphate. What will happen? So if ribose 5-phosphate is transferring 2 carbons, it will form a 3 carbon sugar. Okay, ribose 5-phosphate forms 3 carbon sugar. So xylose 5-phosphate is gaining 2 carbons, so it will form 7 carbon, so it forms 7 carbon sugar. So 3 carbon sugar, we already know this is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So we have studied in the glycolysis pathway, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Well, this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, what is the fate of this? This may enter into the glycolysis pathway. See here, so where we will find this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate? See here, this fructose 6-phosphate will be converted to fructose fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. By aldolase enzyme we will get a ketone group and a aldehyde group. So this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will enter here in the glycolysis pathway. Okay, right? Glycolysis pathway. So next step, this pseudoheptulose is a 7 carbon, where it gains 2 carbon, 5 plus 2, that's xylose 5-phosphate, 5 carbon plus 2 carbon, it forms 7 carbon sugar. Okay, in another step there is one more important enzyme, that is transaldolase. So same thing, trans means transfer, aldolase means aldehyde. So aldehyde contains 3 carbons, so it will transfer 3 carbons. So from where it will transfer 3 carbons? For example, if you see glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, see in the previous step, this compound and this compound will be acted by the transketolase enzyme. Okay, one more important thing I forgot to discuss, this transketolase enzyme will not act by itself. Actually it should contain a coenzyme that is called thymine pyrophosphate. Okay, thymine pyrophosphate vitamin should present as a coenzyme to the transketolase. This is very important. Thymine pyrophosphate should present in the transketolase, otherwise it cannot act. Okay, so in the presence of transketolase, these 2 compounds will react each other. Okay, and transketolase, what it will do, it will transfer 2 carbons. Okay, so when it transfer two carbons from ribose 5 phosphate to xylose phosphate, what it will form? It will form glycerol 3 phosphate and pseudoheptulose 7 phosphate, right? So here one in the same way we are using trans aldolase. So here we don't need any coenzyme. So like in the trans ketolase we have thiamine pyrophosphate, like TPP, we will call it as TPP, thiamine pyrophosphate. In the same way, this trans aldolase also will shift the carbons, but it don't need any coenzyme. Okay, what it will do? It will this will transfer 3 carbons, because aldehyde contains 3 carbons, so it can transfer 3 carbons. So since glycerol 3 phosphate contains 3 carbons, so it cannot transfer. So pseudoheptulose, it contains 7 carbons. It can transfer. Okay, not it may, it can transfer. So if this 7 carbon will transfer to the 3 carbon sugar, we will get a 6 carbon intermediate. So what is that? 6 carbon intermediate is the fructose 6 phosphate. So when from pseudoheptulose we will take 3 carbons and given to the glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, we will get fructose 6 phosphate. Where we have seen this fructose 6 phosphate, student? We have seen this one in the where ma? We have seen that in the glycolysis pathway. Here we have seen. So it can go through the glycolysis pathway and produce energy by using Krebs cycle, or it may participate in the gluconeogenesis. See, it may go to the Krebs cycle. Okay, Krebs cycle, or it may go to the gluconeogenesis, where it will produce gluconeogenesis, right? Gluconeogenesis, where it can produce a glucose. Okay, glucose. There are two ways, right? Okay, first here you observe here, right? So what will happen? This fructose may enter into the glycolysis pathway. So next, since it is pseudoheptulose is transferring 3 carbons, so remaining is 4 carbons, so it will form 4 carbon sugar, that is erythrose 4 phosphate, right? So it forms a erythrose 4 phosphate. So next, this erythrose 4 phosphate will combine with one more compound, that is xylose 5 phosphate. We have seen this one in the beginning here, epimerase. That is a epimerase enzyme. Sorry, diastereomer. That is a This is a diastereomer. It is a diastereomer. That diastereomer will react with erythrose 4 phosphate. So it is a 4 carbon and it is a 5 carbon. So again in the presence of what? Which enzyme? And again in the presence of transketolase. So it will transfer 2 carbons. For example, this xylose 5 phosphate transfer 2 carbon to erythrulose. It will form a 6 carbon structure, that is fructose 6 phosphate, and it is transferring 2 carbons, so the remaining will be 3, so it forms glycerol 3 phosphate. These two may enter into the glycolysis pathway. Either it will go down to the Krebs cycle, or it may reverse and forms glucose by gluconeogenesis. This is the overall pentose phosphate pathway or hexose monophosphate shunt. Okay, so in the next slide, just a minute. Okay. Right, so we have seen in the previous slide what are the major intermediates present in the pentose phosphate pathway or hexose monophosphate pathway. Actually, this pathway is divided into 2 parts. I already discussed about that. That is 2 parts, that is oxidative phase and non-oxidative phase. And in oxidative phase, what will happen? In the oxidative phase, this main purpose of this oxidative phase is main purpose is it will make NADPH and ribose 5-phosphate. Okay, so it will make NADPH. We have seen that two NADPH are formed in reactions. Two NADPH are formed. Two NADPH are formed in the reaction, right? And ribose phosphate also formed. So remember, in the oxidative phase, with the help of NADPH only, this ribose 5-phosphate is forming, right? So what are the steps we already have seen in the pathway? That is, first of all, this glucose 6-phosphate. So this is the starting material in the pentose phosphate pathway. This glucose 6-phosphate should convert into 6-phosphoglucanolactone in the presence of glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. So NADPH will convert. NADPH will be converted into NADP plus will be converted into NADPH, right? Next step, this 6-phosphoglucanolactone in the presence of lactonase. In the presence of water, it will break the bond between the glucose and lactone. So the bond between the glucose and lactone, this lactone and glucose will be separated. So we'll get an intermediate, that is 6-phosphoglucanate. Okay, glucanate. So this 6-phosphoglucanate, what it will do in the presence of 6-phosphoglucanodehydrogenase, it will form a ribulose 5-phosphate. Okay, it is a dehydrogenase enzyme, so NADP plus will convert to NADPH. So here it is a one carbon less, so that one carbon will be removed as carbon dioxide. So this is actually decarboxylation step. Okay, decarboxylation step. So in the next step, this ribulose 5-phosphate will be acted by two enzymes. One is isomerase and one is epimerase. So isomerase will form ribose 5-phosphate. Epimerization will form diastereoisomer, that is xylose 5-phosphate. This phase is called oxidative phase. Okay, oxidative phase. Remember guys, this is a oxidative phase. So in the next phase, that is non-oxidative phase, I already discussed. Non-oxidative phase is nothing but carbon shuffling reactions. The carbon will be shifted to one product to another product. Carbon shuffling reactions. So what is that? Here two important enzymes are there. If you remember that, whole story will be finished, or whole pathway will be finished. One is a transketolase and one more is transaldolase. That's it. Transketolase, so it is a ketone, so it contains only two carbons. It's a 2-carbon structure. So if you write the ketone like this, right, ketone, so it is a 2-carbon. It can shift only this carbon and this carbon. I'm writing again. It is a ketone. So here carbons will be there. Excuse me. So these carbons will be shifted, right? So 2 carbons will be shifted. So in the same way, aldehyde, if it is acetaldehyde, there will be 3 carbons. So 3 carbons will be shifted. That's the thing. That is a shortcut to remember. So whatever the isomer and this diastereomer formed, these two reacted by on these two acted by an enzyme, there is transketolase. Transketolase will transfer 2 carbons. So if it is transformed from the ribose 5-phosphate, will form glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and these 2 carbons will be added to the xylose 5-phosphate. It forms pseudoheptulose, that is 7 carbon. Right, again this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and pseudoheptulose 7-phosphate acted by the transaldolase enzyme. So it will transfer 3 carbons. So glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate contains only 3 carbons, so it is not possible to transfer from here. So it can transfer from here only. So if it is transferring 3 carbons from this pseudoheptulose to here, so it will form how many? 6 carbon structure, right? This will enter into the glycolysis pathway, right? Here This cytoheptulose, it is transport for 3 carbons, so 4 carbon structure is erythrose 4 phosphate. This erythrose 4 phosphate will react with that diastereomer and forms, so in the presence of ketolase, that is trans ketolase, that is 2 carbon, it will send the shift to 2 carbons. If this group is sending 2 carbons, so it will form 3 carbon structure, so it is a 4. If it gain 2 carbons, it will form fructose 6 carbon structure. If it is gaining 2 carbons, it will form 6 carbon structure, and if it is losing, it will form 3 carbon structure, that is glycerol 3 phosphate. Remember guys, very important thing, see here, in oxidative phase, it will make ribose 5 phosphate with the help of NADPH. So here it will make ribose 5 phosphate without making NADPH. So from where? From actually from the glycerol 3 phosphate. Glycerol 3 phosphate is an intermediate in the glycolysis pathway. Remember guys, this is very important step. Glycerol 3 phosphate is a intermediate in the glycolytic pathway. Actually this step is a reversible. This is reversible. Okay, so not only ribose 5 phosphate will form glycerol 3 phosphate, and glycerol 3 phosphate can also form ribose 5 phosphate. It's a reversible step. So it's a reversible step. So what is the use of this NADPH and ribose 5 phosphate? NADPH, it's a reducing agent because it contains hydrogen. It will give the hydrogen so to some other substrate, so gaining of hydrogen, whichever is gaining, so since it is giving, so it can act as an antioxidant. Which one is gaining, it will act as a reducing agent. Okay, it will act as a reducing agent, so this will act as a reducing agent, so because it will reduce other substance. Okay, so one more important thing is that it is used to synthesize fatty acids. It's used to synthesize cholesterol, and used to synthesize nucleic acids also. Used to synthesize nucleotides and neurotransmitter like epinephrine and everything like that, and it acts used in the free radical reactions. Especially this act as antioxidant, so help in the free radical reaction. Okay. Next, about the ribose 5 phosphate, we already know it is helpful to form what? Nucleic acids like DNA and RNA, and making ATPs, and can make ATP, and can make FAD and NAD, and also it will help to synthesize many coenzymes, right? Thank you guys, this is the thing. And most important thing, remember this, it will form 2 NADPH. Thank you guys, this is the this is about hexose monophosphate shunt or pentose phosphate pathway.